I'll speed it up because this is nonsense. They're actually fighting back in here. Okay, yeah, they they finally pulled back some units. I guess we'll put all the yellow ones on this front. And some of the red ones as well. Pretty sure we don't need all of them. Down there. Probably green ones too, considering that, well, they've taken it all. Oh, yeah. I forgot to remove that, so they've been all redeploying from there to there. Alright, so yeah, we need to establish our position again for a moment. How are our losses actually? Okay, it's not bad. 20,000. We haven't had time to include our field hospitals quite yet, so I was a bit worried. About the Victoria 2, I always like when I don't play it for a while. I think, oh damn, that's such a great game. I wonder why people and I am not playing it a bit more. But when I play it for a little bit longer, then I remember that it's very much clicking through events for 90% of the game. And yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of Kaiserreich is it's very event focused. So here you there are problems with basic Hearts of Iron, but well, one of them isn't that it's over half of interactions are basically made by events and are impossible to predict. So. Yeah, there's some defense going on. Let's put you in there. We will stamp that out and let's put you there. The research still going, very good. Yeah, so the Hoi 3 versus Hoi 4, that's another of unpopular opinions. I've played, I mean, around 500 hours of Hoi 3 with Black Eyes mostly, and I don't think that was a good game. It was, well, the best game of that type at the time, but beyond that, I'm not a big fan of Black Eyes. I mean, it's I would say it's a prime example of mod adding the width over depth. So there are shitloads of options, and at first you think, oh man, this is so complicated and so deep. But when you get into it, 80-90% of those options are no options at all, because there is only one optimal way to go about it. So what it results in is basically the fact that you are once you read all the options, it becomes obvious that you simply always take this and always take that. So as soon as you figure out the game, it gets kind of meh. And the amount of there's something like order of battle is, it looks neat and is nice and so on when you make it for the first time. I like playing Japan in Black Ice. So when you made your order of battle, and so it looks neat, but then basically every hour or so you need to take half an hour to readjust your bloody fucking order of battle because of how things developed, and it just becomes a drag. At some point, you once you control, for example, most of Asia, it takes longer for you to fix your order of battle every hour than you do an actual gameplay, which is infuriating. So it gets old real fast, I'd say. It's a neat idea, but I think it was like the most obvious thing to act before, because it confused a lot of new players without actually giving much in terms of improved gameplay for you when push comes to shove. So I think I'm not just really worried about the lack of order of battle. Espionage was just stupid, and it was impossible to balance, so I'm not. And also, I'm not the fan of the way money was used and how used. Well, I guess what I liked is there was it was a little easier to micromanage your divisions on province to province basis, so that was good. And another thing, not lack of ability to actually stockpile your resources is a bit silly. Not that the way you stockpiled it in, Hearts of Iron 3 espionage. That's what I meant. Was kind of silly. Still, just put your mass producing spies, putting them either on, stealing technologies or. Trying to topple the government. It's not much better in this game, and I refuse to use it. But yeah, it was just putting spies and trying to steal technology. It's kind of it was redundant. If it wasn't, it was a thing, but if it wasn't there, no one would be particularly worried about that fact. And I don't think I think nothing of value has been lost when that thing got axed. Yeah, let's just push in with AI there. Oh yeah, and spearing system was in Vicky is a problem as well. So, and I understand why they are not rushing to. I think the Hearts of Iron, the whole discussion Hearts of Iron 3 versus Hearts of Iron 4 is a bit skewed by. There was a thread on Reddit lately, a litany of complaints on Hearts of Iron 4. Some of them were rightfully so, but 90% of people there vaguely remembered playing Hearts of Iron 3 few years back, clearly, and had pink goggles when talking about it. And if you were to read that thread and attempts to understand what Hearts of Iron 3 and Black Ice 4 it was, you would come to conclusion that it was the best game ever, that had no bloody problems whatsoever, and the AI was amazing, and so on and so forth. And that was clearly not the case. So I think that, well, once again, there are serious problems with Hearts of Iron 4, and if you've seen my other playthroughs, I sometimes moan and complain for episodes on end about some bugs or some ways the AI behaves, but when you but there are the problems are usually much smaller than the similar issues with Hearts of Iron 3 when you actually get into the details of it. I mean, I like playing Wiki like once every year or so, but even though it is the shortest game of shortest Paradox game, and by that I mean that there's the least amount of ticks by far compared to all the others. I am yet to actually. I think I've once reached the end date. On the other hand, I don't think I've ever reached the end date on EU4 either, but yeah, that's a different story. I mean, it gets tiresome, and yeah, it's a good game, but not something you can play too much, I would say. So there are problems. And because of how Hearts of Iron 4 has been the reaction to Hearts of Iron 4 from the older fans, I think. As I mentioned, the reaction that I think is well, mostly stupid, to put it plainly. I think it's quite obvious why they are not really keen on doing Victoria 2, because Victoria 3, because Victoria 2 systems need a massive redesign to be even accessible for even like an audience that plays EU4 and CK2. So if they want to do something like that, they would have to redesign half of Victoria 2, because it's a fucking convoluted mess, and you need to some of the systems in Victoria 2 to this day are impossible to understand, because right, I think we are having problems with resistance. Well, not much we can do about it, but what we could do is let's send a few of the divisions like to Rome for the time being, and we just hope that Italy surrenders shortly. So we just need to rush into Palermo or Messina. I think maybe enough. Okay, how are our losses? 29k. That's acceptable. I wonder how much we'll be able to actually hold on to during the peace conference. Yeah, armor tanks. Yeah, that's like so one of the problems with I guess, with Black Ice is, I mean, okay, you have so many options for your divisions, but at the end of the day, once you figure out what is your best divisions, you still get create like 2 or 3 divisions that you will actually use, maybe 5, because you'll like different units to do naval landings, and different units to tank units, some and so on and so forth, or as you mentioned, the armor cars, but it still boils down to 2 or 3 divisions, no matter how many actual types of them you have. So oh fuck, okay, I think I wasted shitloads of I'm talking too much. Alright, let's buff this up. Let's get Alright, we don't even have modern infantry. We just we just got it from the Czechs. So yeah, that's funny. Forgot about that. We're definitely going to continue that, and are we going to research any of those outright, or are we waiting? So we would have 1, 2, 3, and then we can get 50% on fighters and 50% of closer support. Or we could research them now and then research those ahead of time without problem. I think we'll actually go and research the ahead of time ones later. Let's switch to extensive conscription. Jesus, are you going to destroy him already or what? Is there a port? No, there isn't. So I guess this is mostly because we are terrain, attacker tactic. Okay, right, because we don't have fucking radios. Right, that's another thing. We're really behind on the research as Austria-Hungary. Okay. I think that's it here. And this is basically French territory, isn't it? Let's grab more, I guess. Not sure how actually it's how the whole thing of well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how counting, the territory we captured from the French. How will that account for our actual gains during the peace conference? But well, we don't even have a tech for naval invasion, so we can't naval invade, sadly. We'll just push through it. I'm pretty sure we will be able to. We just use more than 2 divisions and we'll be alright, I think. Those have pretty low strength, so not particularly worried, just waiting for a few more divisions to come. Okay, how are we on construction again? We need some more oil. And yeah, I think that's enough of the. Oh, actually, we could deploy more planes, so we should probably do that. Where are we stationed again? There, of course, that's terrible. Let's. Yeah, that would be the best. Yeah, let's let's put more air force here. We need some fighters. Do we have those good fighters already? Some produced, maybe? Interwar fighters. I really don't care about interwar fighters. Fighter 1. Wow, okay, 90. Yeah, we've been producing the actual close air supports for a long time. Go. Yeah, that should be enough. We couldn't even strategically bomb the Italian Strait because we don't have. I don't think we have tactical bombers. Do we even have tech for them? We don't. Yeah, so and there isn't much point on strategically bombing it because actually, yeah, they do have coastal forts. All right, yeah, but thankfully they decided to attack. So let's jump on the opportunity. Yeah, okay, this is actually going to be a problem. But I think our closer support should do the trick. Jesus. I didn't notice there's a coastal fort. Last time I pushed through here, it actually went pretty well. But I guess there were no units actually entrenched there, so Yeah, but we should deploy those other units, and there should be more closer support, bombing them in a second. Oh, actually, only 62 can fight. Well, that's of course because they only have one division here. Alright, so I guess a little bit. Okay, well, basically we'll order everyone to keep attacking, and we'll grind them down. Annoying, we just need Messina to finish this, and there's no way for us to naval invade. Actually, naval invasion is always the best way to go about conquering Italy. Just a few invasions here and there, and they're done. Alright, so... well, that actually went pretty nice, and there is no peace conference, sadly. Or is there? Let's see, has Italy joined the war? They have not. Yeah, let's slow it down, and gee, no point in slowing it down. Let's stop all the invasion, all the attacks, I think, and also stop all the offensive actions, so we are not wasting equipment. I had to go for a minute just after asking, so I didn't hear the answer. There's ever a good reason to use paratroopers? Well, there is. I mean, you can. I never like. I never was in really a position to use them, but yes, you can cut off. You can land them behind enemy lines, and for example, cut off the whole front. Not sure if I wasn't sure if the attack over to France was a waste. I don't think we've wasted much in terms of lives. So maybe we actually wasted like 200k, 20k. But what I need is more points for the peace conference, basically. So there wasn't much in terms of resistance there anyway. Okay, where were I? I think we need to finally upgrade our divisions, because this is ridiculous. Where's Horska Division? Alright, so what we would do is put 2 artilleries here, and engineer company, build hospital, and anti-tank support. And that will do. Sadly, we don't have a guy with offensive doctrine. And that's probably because we've been using only generals to fight right now, and we would get offensive doctrine if we have used a single, field marshal for it. But and so we'll just be using 20 combat with infantry divisions, but that's alright. Yeah, so another options here we could simply 222 would add anti-tank and perhaps anti-air, or maybe one more artillery division. Yeah, one more artillery division and anti-tank, but this is good. How do you train offensive doctrine on your generals? You attack, you use them, and that they will. So, for example, this guy has is 66% done to get Mountaineer, Engineer, and Ranger, more or less, and 30 for Hill Fighter. This guy has 70% engineer and so on. So in their case, you are basically doing, so engineer fighting over rivers, mountaineer fighting in the mountains, hill fighter. Yeah, you get the gist. So this guy, for example, he started. I'm not sure he started with anything. He just had a 5 skill, and he's almost done with being a trickster and engineer. I wouldn't say so. I mean, this guy was the first one to get the traits, but he was at high level already. So I don't think this like the speed in which you basically the more units you have under your command, so the more fighting there is, the faster you go. But I don't think it is actually all that dependent on your level. So this guy was actually fighting in Bulgaria, and he has done a lot of fighting because I've just left the AI to its own devices, and it took them bloody ages to conquer it. So that's why he leveled. He just done a lot of fighting, but he was pretty. I think he was 5 or 4 at the start. So yes, offensive doctrine is only for field marshals. And that's why I mentioned I've been using generals only. So that's the problem there. All right, so it's time to create our mountain divisions. Do we have any remotely good? So motorized. I think we'll have to use this one, eh? Right. So, well, what we want is a division with let's say 4 motorized infantry, 4 light tanks, and 2 motorized artillery, I'd say. But since we do not have motorized artillery researched yet, we'll just go with that, and we'll switch that later on. So we'll go with engineers, anti-tank, field hospital, and yeah, support artillery. I think we'll switch support artillery, field hospitals later on for, well, we can. The thing is, we could, for example, if we were to remove it, we would save, get the better average on our armor and our piercing. Jesus, how the hell our armor is so shitty? Alright, because we are using the old tanks. Doesn't really matter at the moment. Yeah, but yeah, let's. Do we really want the field hospitals on those? I don't think we'll be losing that much, but yeah, what is the difference here? Yeah, we're barely losing any piercing, so barely losing any ammo. Our organization is high enough, and since we'll be having really well researched field hospitals, I think it's worth it just for the lack of losses in terms of experience, I think. Armor is so shit because we don't really have good tanks yet, so it will be better once we research better ones. Oh yes, I know. I mean, it's not like we had a fucking chance to. Well, we may look big, but we've been just a tiny little bit or tiny little Hungary, and we had more important things to attend. Jesus. Wow. So where's that? So I was promised a peace conference, eh? Doesn't seem to be one. Do they have to actually? This is just weird. Alright, so I guess we can put you guys on garrison duty, perhaps? For the time being? Same for you. Yeah, that will do. Alright. Kinda need that as well, I guess. Oh, damn it. Okay, but we only want to resistance. Well, this getting whole garrison order is a good thing. There we go. Just sit there. No, Japan has not surrendered, but thing is that okay, let's go to the war. So this war, German-Dutch war, both of them as surrendered. Well, actually, they haven't, but they are apparently 100% towards capitulation, and Japan is not in this war, so there was a theory that there will be a peace conference after that. Alright, so, yeah, I think we're good. Alright, there is. Okay, so I need Oberschließen, Niederschließen. Does it really take 9? What the fuck is that? 921. So they already decided to take all that. Oh, okay, so I guess this is because, well, we haven't gone to war against them, really. So we don't have... Okay, so we definitely need to get those things in Italy first, so... We need Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna, kinda needs the Piedmont as well. Okay, we cannot... Really? Ugh. Really? Just Lombardy, of all the things. Alright. Pissing me off here. They at least passed. Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, well, we won't be able to get that because they already switched the Germans into their own camp. I think we need to get that munition from the Germans before they continue. Wow. Well, shit. Not looking good. Hate this peace conference thing. We weren't even able to get, Lombardy, Tuscany, Piedmont, at least for the resources and this shitty province here. Ugh. Well, we have our work cut out for us.